Chapter 6. Access granted to the big boy buttons. Oil, money, power, or women. Yep, beauty. I'll take it. My third home in under 12 months is a one-bedroom apartment in a fortified complex on Club Street. It's a short stroll to work and even shorter walk to plenty of wannabe hip bars and obscenely overpriced restaurants. It's also on the cusp of Singapore's Chinatown, filled with sweating, dinner-plate-faced men in stained yellow singlets and fleeting hairlines, slumped in the endless, fluorescent, flimsy plastic chairs of food halls packed with bargain-hunting diabetic MSG addicts. It's a far cry from the Manly beachfront where the Tasman Sea stretches out on crystal blue to New Zealand, while Scandinavian backpackers scour the promenade for surfing lessons and Aussie cock, the air filled with palpable convict contentment that, for our forefathers' sins, they were undeservedly shipped to a distant paradise. My dear Balmain Tigers are playing against the hated South Sydney Rabbitohs on the only TV channel every fair dinkum Australian expat in Singapore cannot live without, the Setanta Network. I crank the air conditioning to its lowest possible setting and grab a beanie from my closet to add to my tracksuit and woolen socks. I'm a greenie sympathiser at heart, I suppose, but my lucrative employment is based wholly on man's dependence on oil, and my life prior to sign involved watching rugby league in the bitter cold of winter. The game is simply better when you're holding onto a beer can through the outstretched arms of a jumper. It's science. Outside, the sun is blazing. Obviously the temperature no doubt somewhere in the mid to high 30s. The humidity its usual 3-figure percentage. I'm glad the Shanghai days are behind me and grateful for a Mexican wave buffet to bring my physique back somewhere towards fighting weight. But you'd think these fucking tigers could help a lifelong supporter out and learn how to play with at least a little bit of skill or some remote amount of passion. The bunnies are whopping my Tigers 24-0. The whistle blows for half-time. I slide along the tiled floor to the kitchen to grab another can of Tiger beer, the Tigers that never disappoint. Tom Waterhouse's ugly mug pops up on screen for a sideline report and an update of gambling odds for all sorts of punting possibilities at his self-titled website betting den. I've spent most of Sunday morning doing two things: unpacking my belongings into the service department I'll now be calling home, and reading through online Australian newspaper articles. My possessions are neatly packed and sorted, but I'm still coming to grips with Australia's deep-rooted hatred of Tom Waterhouse. Now, in Tom's defence, I doubt many of these haters actually know him and have simply jumped on the Tom Waterhouse revulsion bandwagon. That is not cool. Those people should be ashamed of themselves. Me, however, I went to school with the pompous little slimy turd-faced fuckhead. I've known he's a royal cock for many, many years. My due diligence on this subject was complete almost 2 decades ago. All that aside though, why do people hate him so much? Because he's offering live gambling during sporting events. So what? Seriously, so what? Oh, the children, problem gambling, fucking. Where do these useless fantasy world inhabiting morons think their meagre $2 savings go, after the government has concocted ever more taxes to shunt them out of every other spare coin at their disposal? It goes into superannuation, that little Paul Keating chestnut designed to save us all. Once it's gone to a super fund. What a term that is too, by the way. Super. That's like saying you have supernatural powers if you can successfully wipe your own ass. Bravo. No, these super funds invest your money. And how do they invest? They employ legions of analysts to fabricate graphs, mull financial data, and eventually, once they realise that is all one complete waste of time, they take a punt. They take your hard-earned money and punt it while they're off playing golf on a weekday afternoon and you're busy, slogging your best years away in some degrading task which is euphemistically described as gainful employment. Now, investing in any market carries far lower odds of winning than going to the casino and putting it all on black. Markets are full of people, retarded, fearful, greedy people like you and me. You have to predict what these people are going to think. Good luck. They think they deserve to live well, die rich and work very little. Fair enough. So, you have to second guess where they're going to park their borrowed, inherited or superannuation donated investment capital in a roulette wheel of equities, currencies, commodities, whatever else the regulators wrongfully deem to not be gambling. The gyrations of markets are determined by these people, not by true underlying value. There is no such thing. But by people's perceptions of future value. Are you scared? You fucking should be. At least basic mathematics are involved at a casino. Next time you point the finger at poor little Silver Spoon Tommy W for his live gambling service, remember, you've been bamboozled the whole way along. Your hard-earned enforced savings are being punted all day, every day. Tom's halftime update is over and his nauseatingly smarmy face smears off the screen. I settle in to watch the second half, keying in a $500 bet on my laptop for the comeback of the century paying $6.85. I like those odds and I love my Tigers. Within the second half's first minute, the Tigers halfback throws an intercept pass into the waiting arms of a fluky fucker in a Rabbitohs jersey who races 70 metres for another try. I walk to the nearby booze shop for a case of Tiger beers and return home to get completely wasted, yelling at the TV from the couch, feeling homesick. $500 later. I wake up to a message from Paul. He wants to meet at 8 a.m. at Dimboola for a flat white and a quick chat. I presume you want to talk through plans on how we can quickly become the most profitable desk in the Scion network. I jump in the shower and hope for some half-decent opening day trading ideas to soak in through my pores. No such luck. I towel off, shave and douse myself in Issey Miyake. Shrewd ideas or not, you should always look and smell the part. Welcome back, mate. Oh yeah, cheers, Paul. Great to be here. You been coping okay without me? Yeah, I've been okay. So today we'll set you up on all the systems and all those sort of admin tasks. We can trade anything really, oil, metals, equities, foreign exchange. Our only real mandate is to provide option prices for any of the specific oil or metals trading desks when they ask. Doesn't occur too often, but we do need to make sure we provide a price for them if we're asked. Okay, cool, no problem. Aside from that, you work side by side with me for the first few months and then take progressively bigger positions on your own. Yeah, awesome, sounds great. We head into the office around 8:30 a.m. The Singaporean 9 a.m. arrival devotion appears unchanged. The room's empty. Paul sits at the end of a row of desks. 6 blank screens surge to life as he takes his seat to boot his working day into first gear. My new seat, to his right, is endowed with only 3 screens. This is bullshit. I'm a big swinger now, apparently. Surely no one here can read my thoughts with just screaming, I don't belong, I'm a hoax, I'm retarded, I'm hopeless. I'm suppressing that astute inner voice and preparing to give Erwin an earful for not having more screens prepared for me. A traitor. I'm a big deal. Ask anyone. Fuck knows what I'll be looking at on all those extra screens. But I'll work that out when I get there. Joel arrives and walks straight over. Welcome home, son. Thanks. Good to be back. So how was China then? Oh, not what I expected. Joel's phone rings and he walks off, insulting whoever happens to be on the line. The expletives increasing as he reaches a glass bubble meeting room in the corner and shuts the door behind him. I see Andrew arrive in the distance, walking straight into the meeting room with Joel.
Yes, good to see you, Flynn.
Oh, Hard. Good morning.
Oh, he says you're very good here for him.
Oh, not too sure about that. But it was a pleasure to meet him and a great experience.
Yes. Oh, well, you take your pee with Pod then. It's okay. Good luck.
Thanks, Adam. My phone rings. Sign Commodities. Flynn speaking. Oh, I like that official-sounding voice of yours, mate. It's Andrew here. Can you come down to the meeting room with Joel and I? Yeah, one sec. I proceed down the room and see Pranav scrolling on his BlackBerry. Some things never change and we don't make eye contact. I pass by him.
Good morning, Flynn. Hope you are well.
He literally must have eyes in the top of his head. Morning, Pranav. Yeah, I'm well, thanks. This is the first I've seen of Mr. NAFTA since my initial interview. Boy wonder has quite a memory. I continue into the Michelangelo room. Flynn, good to see you. Andrew shakes my hand as I walk in and motions me to take a seat. Mr. James, we've got a problem. Joel doesn't speak with his formal voice too often. Something's far from rosy. A problem? Sorry, is there an echo in this room? Now shut up and listen. Andrew's fellow fuel oil trader, Bing Zhao, has just cost us a highly profitable relationship with Powcom. We do almost zero fuel business with them, but we do a fuckload of gasoline and naphtha deals, all of which are usually highly lucrative. Thanks to Bing Zhao's persistent fuck-ups on fuel though, Powcom isn't going to deal with us at all now. One of the biggest traders in the world is going to pretend we don't exist. Now, before I take great joy in firing Bing, Andrew and I want to sound you out for a fuel trading role, rather than derivatives. Andrew takes over. Flynn, you can trade derivatives at any stage of your career. Physical trading though, it's the learning ground to really cut your teeth in the commodities world. I'll be next to you to teach you every step along the way. I apologise for not putting this option on the table months ago. Obviously, I watched you during your deals desk time here last year and I know you are exceptional. You and Paul will make an amazing duo, no question. But I'd like the chance to welcome him to my team also, learn the trade properly, and there will be derivatives trading roles for you aplenty in the more distant future. That all makes sense. I'm fine either way. But my operations training in metals hasn't really prepared me too well to jump straight into physical oil trading. I'll teach you everything, mate. And Rudy is a brilliant operator. I'll make sure he pays particular attention to you and teaches you everything on the steepest learning curve possible. Will Paul be okay with this? Of course. He can carry on solo with his work. He'll only be sitting a couple of chairs away from him. We can change the seating arrangement so you two Aussies can still hold hands all day if you like. Fuck off. Ha, good man. So you're in. Yeah, why not, eh? Let's do it. Excellent. Okay, gents, I see Bing has just arrived to work, the stupid cunt. Please excuse me. Bing Zhao is about to be Bing fucking gone. Andrew and I walk out together. Bing walks back past us and into the Michelangelo room with Joel. Flynn, best go grab a coffee, mate. Get me one too, could you? I'll break the news to Paul and get Erwin to reconfigure Bing's workstation for you. 5 screens enough for you to compensate for all the knowledge you don't have and at least make the receptionist keen to suck you off? Yeah, 5 should be just fine. I jump in the elevator and head back to Dimboola, stopping for a moment in the foyer on the ground floor to say good morning to Jana. She's well and Marcelo is still going strong at Revlon. I look over her shoulder to see Bing walking out the doors, smashing his BlackBerry into the pavement. A cleaning lady scoots over and sweeps the innocent remains of the device into the dustbin. Keith Wang is in the distance, spitting abuse into his BlackBerry and sucking down his morning pack of cigarettes. Jana carries on to the elevators. I focus back on my coffee errand, knowing all too well I'm even more out of my depth than usual with this sudden change of events. I return with Andrew's coffee and we grab a seat back in the meeting room for the obligatory pep talk and his verbal illustration to describe the lay of the land. Fuel oil trading is, quite literally, tantamount to scraping the bottom of the barrel. If you manage to find some crude oil and successfully run it through a refinery, gasoline, kerosene, jet fuel, and of course naphtha all float upwards, a pack of show-offs. Meanwhile, the heavy molecules of the crude slate will sink to the bottom of your distillation tower. The shining light at the weighty depth of the barrel is fuel oil. It's so potent and disgusting. The brains trust at the helm of civilization decided it was wise to power all manner of gargantuan ocean-going vessels with it. It is termed marine fuel oil by some in the business. This highly pollutant sludge of viscosity, sulfur and hydrocarbons is stored in ships' bunkers and accounts for the lion's share of global chartering costs and environmental catastrophes. If it's not powering global shipping, fuel oil also finds its way to electricity-generating utilities, forming a valuable component of the energy stack alongside coal, nuclear and natural gas. Singapore is the world's dumping ground for fuel oil and is now all that my universe is consumed with. My role, all of a sudden, far from pricing up options, speaking in Greeks and trading derivatives, as unqualified as I am for doing that, will instead comprise analysing the tonnage and timing of fuel oil reaching the Singapore basin from every corner of the globe. I'll be assisting Andrew in assessing cargoes he's looking to buy and ship into our tanks while simultaneously working with Rudy, our operator, to ensure we profitably sell bunker parcels of fuel oil direct into the domestic bunker market from our storage tanks, which are clearly visible in the Singapore harbour from the Michelangelo room windows. I have no idea what I'm doing, but do have the luxury of being catapulted quite unexpectedly into this role. That should buy me at least 48, maybe 72 hours to be up to speed with every facet of the fuel oil business before I can expect to be fired for the smallest of mistakes. Andrew and I return to our seats. Paul gives me an approving, "What can you do?" shrug of the shoulders, and I quickly set about filling up my 5 screens with spreadsheets, charts, interactive maps, anything at all that might make fellow traders presume I have any idea what I'm doing. And the receptionist inclined to fuck me. Andrew hails a cab in front of the office and we jump in. It's Wednesday, ladies' night. Women receive free champagne at all the major bars every Wednesday in Singapore. It sounds like utopian paradise for sleazing on heavily boozed chicks, high on free bubbly and eager to make bad decisions with their legs spread. Unfortunately, it's not like that at all. It's a total sausage sizzle. Every other bloke transplanted to this sweathole of a city has the same idea. Find drunk tarts and let the magic happen. The ratio of wang to vag is heavily lopsided to the pork swords. The cab passes by countless bars advertising their ladies' night deals, while scores of horny blokes chat impatiently to each other, sipping on their full-price Tiger pints. There's the odd unfuckable expat munter amongst the crowds of blokes, smashing free champers and blaming yellow fever for the lack of attention she's receiving. One of the fuel oil brokerages has booked a balcony area at Coup d'Etat, the bar atop Marina Bay's floating serpentine. I'm 3 days into the new role and obviously without a clue as to what I'm doing, or how the hell I'm going to help Andrew complete the necessary alchemy required to ensure ongoing overpaid employment as a trader. As the cab circles Marina Bay, I sincerely hope someone chooses tonight to fulfill the quota of 1 weekly suicide from the airborne boat. It would really take my thoughts away from how soon I'm going to be fired. The taxi pulls in at the entrance foyer. We continue through to the elevator and both pinch our noses as we hop out at the 56th floor, neutralising air pressure after the almost instantaneous 200-metre skyward journey. We follow the Bordello Scarlet signage to Coup d'etat's entrance and endure the stares of condemnation being hurled at us by the steroid-injected eyes of the doorman. Do we even lift? No, we don't. Andrew tells the earphone to retard our name so he can pretend he can read while he glances down his bicep cradling a name-filled clipboard for a few moments before waving us in. We are welcomed by a large, empty dance floor. The doorman's twin brother appears to be lurking in the DJ booth, eyes on the decks, left hand to the ear, right arm raising the roof as he drops some sort of Korean pop song through the airwaves, sending his anabolic body into a writhing seizure. I need a drink. That DJ needs a bullet. There is a massive bar which leads away from the dance floor and out to a balcony with a mesmerising view of nocturnal Singapore. Neon stretches out forever in the clear night sky. Andrew leads the way past the bar and to the balcony. A group of middle-aged, overweight blokes are sipping Asahis and being fawned all over by some extraordinarily high-class hookers. Well played, lads. That can't be cheap. Enjoy it. The most stunning of the girls sees Andrew and races over, her virtually non-existent black leather skirt riding up her thighs as she paces our way.
Andrew, so glad you could make it, la!
Andrew, the sly bastard. Didn't know he was a brass lover. Claudia, good evening. It's great to see you. This is Flynn, my new prodigy. What? These are the brokers?
Hi, Flynn. Welcome. Please grab yourselves a drink, la.
Yeah, cheers. Singaporeans and their fucking lies. I forgive Claudia, though. Jesus. She is forcing me to rethink my anti-yellow fever convictions. Over the course of the next 2 hours, I'm introduced to the other members of Claudia's team. A group of young women who dress like whores, drink like fish, and laugh at my every joke, then look pensively into the night sky with any quasi-serious statement that passes my lips. In a perfect world, all girls would treat me like this. But I'm wise enough to know this world is far from perfect. They say they're brokers, but I'm unconvinced. Every aspect of their behaviour is screaming full service of sexual, not a commercial nature. The other gents all seem okay, I guess. They're an interesting collection spanning many races and age brackets, all joined together at the hip by fuel oil trading and male gender. I wonder if fuel trading paid the same salary as high school teaching, if any of these blokes would still be here. These girls certainly wouldn't. Andrew was making a special effort to introduce me to the entire group. A wad of business cards now bulging my pockets, hopefully taking attention away from my raging hard-on thanks to Claudia's non-stop stroking of my arm. It's shortly after 10 p.m. The dance floor is now heaving. I'm having serious health concerns for the DJ. The music he spews out of his booth is garbage, but his violent thrashing has continued unabated since I arrived. He must be epileptic. His beats certainly aren't my cup of tea, but there are hundreds of revellers making fools of themselves in the strobe lighting. 3 of the brokers have managed to drag a handful of the most lifeless-looking of my fellow fuel traders onto the floor. It's a little like watching fathers of the bride stealing a waltz with their daughters before matrimonial bliss ensues. Only these newly married young ladies are grinding their papa bears with all the fervour of a Tasmanian only child. As has become typical over the past year, my surroundings are truly bizarre, but everything seems honky-dory to those around me. I take a final sip of my Asahi and peruse the full length of the balcony railing with the acute hope of seeing a willing jumper ready to launch into the afterlife. None. Oh well. My fuel knowledge is insufficient to maintain a proper conversation with any of the other traders, but I've been closely eavesdropping on everyone else's conversations and have picked up plenty of trading ideas to chase up more fully. Andrew is chatting earnestly with some bloke who looks important. One of the brokerage girls nods on in agreement with everything they say and ensures their drinks are full. I let Andrew know I'm going to head home and slide past the dance floor without saying goodbye to any of the other traders and escape to the elevator. It's not actually all that long a walk from Marina Bay Sands back to my Club Street home. I decide to walk on through the dense night air. My phone rings as I step onto the Marina Bay promenade. It's Joel. So you met some of the other fuel traders tonight? Yeah, you're just heading home now. Good. So now you can put faces to the companies we're going to fuck up. I guess so. Wake up. I want you to get angry, Flynn. Really fucking angry. You're a trader now. No more fucking around. I know you pretend to be a nice guy, but I'm certain you're the greedy, crafty cunt I've been waiting for to transform our fuel business. I was never pretending to be a nice guy. That's what I like to hear. Rest up. Tomorrow, we start fucking this market up. Beauty. Good work heading home early too, son. All those useless cunts you met tonight are probably still in fantasy world, happily believing those whore brokers are at all interested in anything they have to say. Yeah. Send a bit over the top. Meet me at the office tomorrow, 6:30am. We'll go for a run, talk through the strategy. Okay, I'll see you then. I'm not too fit though. Good. I'll make you sweat, you little bitch. The sky's open and a monsoonal storm soaks me a few hundred metres from home. I'm glad for the instant drop in temperature. I turn into Club Street and continue the final steps, completely drenched. I immediately switch the aircon into full throttle and jump in an ice-cold shower. Ice cold in Singapore translates to about 25 degrees Celsius. I dry off, grab a tiger from the fridge and take a seat on the couch, with the living room temperature now a relatively humane 20-ish degrees. I turn on Setanta. Gaelic football pollutes the screen while I scribble away notes from all the conversations I overheard tonight. Joel's right. It's time to fuck shit up. I place my gym gear by my bed and drift off to sleep. I snooze straight through the night, waking moments before the 6am alarm starts blaring. I switch on the kettle, brew a Nescafe and watch the Bloomberg headlines. There's nothing really to report unless you're interested in watching Donald Trump's candy floss-topped head demanding to see original copies of Barack's birth certificate. What a prize, fuckwit. I head to the bathroom, unleash Nestle's top-selling products' repercussions into the porcelain, splash my face, don my gym gear, lace up the Nikes and walk into work carrying my corporate clobber on a hanger. Ah, Mr. James, good morning, sir. Joel looks extremely fit. This is going to hurt. Morning, boss. Let's hit it. The early morning light bounces off the bow of Marina Bay Sands. Joel is powering around the bay while I'm too exhausted to concoct a reasonable excuse as to why we should rest a moment. I focus on not face-planting and resist the urge to collapse. I'm glad Joel is talking strategy without expecting me to say anything in reply. I'm breathless to the point of wheezing. The dawn heat is intensified by complete stillness. Not a single wisp of air exists aside from those pounding through my chest. I consider tripping Joel, but can't think of any possible way to explain away such action as accidental. We're barely 10 minutes into the run, less than 2 kilometres through whatever demented course Joel has planned, and all I can think is praying that a splat fucking corpse show itself underneath Marina Bay Sands so that I can at least take a breather. Okay, let's stretch here, eh? Thank you, Lord. I slouch, hands to my knees, sucking in the big ones. You see, it's all good and well Andrew wanting to persevere with our storage tanks, but they're a massive expense. Unless we can find suitably cheap blend stock and still meet the regulated bunker fuel specifications, I really can't see the point of shelling out $1 million each month for some fancy tanks out there in the harbour. Suck 'em in, Flynn. Suck 'em in. No point keeping up appearances and going broke. You made any progress on that ARB sheet? The ARB sheet, Flynn. How's it going with that? Yeah, getting there. Hurry up with it. That's going to be the platform we'll start trading from. Yeah, we'll have it finished today. Righto, you finally stopped huffing. Let's head back. The homeward journey seems less painful. We round the bay and I start to jog with a modicum of grace once I can taste the wall of crisp office air conditioning waiting for me in the distance. We reach the foyer shortly after 7am. Joel heads straight up the elevator into the office change rooms. A 7:30am conference call with the Panama office beckons. I grab a seat at the ground floor waiting lounge, on the verge of crying with the realisation the office aircon doesn't kick in until 8am. I sweat my way through the black leather for 15 minutes before composing myself for my 4th day of fuel oil trading and head to the change rooms.
Flynn!
Oh yeah, who's this?
Mate, it's Sean from the Shanghai Tigers.
Sean, what's happening, mate?
You're in Singapore, yeah?
Yeah, been back here a week now.
Cool, a bunch of us are in town. The Aussie Rules Footy Asian Cup is on here today.
You don't want me to play, do you?
Course not, you're fucking awful.
Well,
no, just seeing if you're keen to catch up afterwards. We'll be heading out for a bit of a session.
Oh, of course. Just message me when you're heading out.
I will do.
Where are you playing? I might come watch.
We'll be at the Ovals near the Singapore Cricket Club.
Oh, too easy. I'll see you there then. It's almost midday. There's a lack of construction noise in this part of the city. Most of the old buildings in the immediate vicinity are heritage listed and safe from Bangladeshi-operated jackhammers. This means I'm actually able to wake up leisurely and with a degree of peace. I stay lying in bed, checking my emails on the BlackBerry. Nothing urgently important in the hundreds of subject titles I scan over amongst the unread list. Week 1, done. Not fired yet. It's better than I expected. I head to the bathroom, catching a quick glimpse of myself in the mirror. I'm still holding on to my Mexican glow and, if I'm not mistaken, I think there could be visible musculature in my shoulders and chest. Back on track, baby. My guts are still laden with ceolite that belongs in a pensioner's aquarobics class. But I'm cool with that. 6-packs are for homos anyway. I shower and shave before reading properly through all my unread emails and munching away on a bowl of Weet-Bix. Joel has shot holes through my ARB sheet. ARB is short for arbitrage, and arbitrage is one of the abundant, overly used and poorly understood words in the finance industry. The finance industry, some call it high finance, because you no doubt have to be blazed off your head to believe any of the garbage entrenched in the world of finance. The industry is full of these sorts of words, these syllables that roll so effortlessly off the tongue, and yet very few of the market participants actually have any real idea of what they're waffling on about. Crowds of published economists will tell you arbitrage means taking advantage of price differentials for the same product, which is simultaneously available in different markets. So, if you could buy a schooner of Heineken for $5 from the downstairs bar of your favourite pub, then walk upstairs and sell it to your mate for $6, you could make $1 at risk-free profit, provided, of course, you were blessed with a steady hand, the ability to not sneak a cheeky sip of that fresh Heine the moment it arrived in your grasp downstairs, and most importantly, able to nonchalantly be a complete cunt. The economic theory goes that such price differentials close quickly. It's only a matter of time before your mate upstairs realises you're ripping him off and either undertakes the walk himself for the cheaper ground floor scooey, or just smacks you in the head and glasses you in the jugular. Either way, the price gap won't last long. Contrary to popular belief, people aren't that stupid, apparently. Now, in terms of fuel oil, there are two major global price benchmarks. One in Singapore, the land that fun forgot, and the other in Rotterdam, Holland, the land that fun's had a fucking gutful of. That poor fuel oil molecule that emerges from a 3-day bender in Rotterdam, only to get shunted into the storage tank of an oil tanker and shipped to the most uptight city on earth, must be rightfully pissed off it's been shipped across the planet in the name of arbitrage. But in Europe, fuel oil is relatively cheap. Most power utilities use higher quality inputs, and the European shipping industry is a little hamstrung by somewhat stringent environmental regulations. By somewhat stringent, I simply mean some. Demand is weak, while in Southeast Asia, fuel oil is needed for shipping and power plants alike. Ship it in, baby, we'll take it. The price difference, the ARB, between the two locations is usually a simple, direct relation corresponding to the shipping costs. Obviously, fuel oil in Rotterdam can't simply jump aboard a KLM flight. No, it has to trudge the English Channel, round the Rock of Gibraltar, cruise the Med, snap a few photos of the pyramids on the way through the Suez, pray like hell Somali pirates are bedridden nursing a HIV or Ebola outbreak as the Arabian Sea flows around the hull, then time the Indian Ocean crossing with a dearth of tectonic silly bugger activity, and finally, slide through the Malacca Strait reflecting on Charles Darwin's Origin of Species. It's quite a journey and is usually valued somewhere around $20 per metric tonne. That differential is known as the east-west. Let's say the price per fuel oil metric tonne in Singapore is $610. The price in Rotterdam is $590. The fuel oil traders are so efficient with linguistics they'll spit out all day, east-west is trading 20. Now, what I'm charged with providing is an analysis of this east-west ARB. Assuming the quoted east-west price is $20, and let me just qualify, that is a derivative paper price. You know, a price on an exchange. A price which is nice to look at, a quote which newsreaders may include in their daily market summary, and a risk analyst will likely call upon to summarise a trading firm's value at risk. But it really is quite meaningless. When you do actually stump up to some grouchy cunt in possession of barrels of fuel oil, he won't necessarily deal at that exchange quoted price for real, live, physical barrels. It's a bit like cash-starved battlers pawning their inherited gold jewellery to slimy Indians in suburban shopping centres. The price they may receive for that gold is not going to correlate too closely with any London Metals Exchange sanctioned bid offer. The ARB sheet has to include shipping, financing, insurance, the whole kit and caboodle, and provide a specific price we can sell fuel oil for in Singapore if we buy it in Rotterdam and undertake the journey east. Like all things theoretical, it's piss easy. We're all Einsteins when we can dwell in a theoretical wonderland of fantasy and unicorns. If I'm travelling in a train at the speed of light, you're dead. That's the answer. You are dead. Your internal organs no longer the required degree of internal thanks to unbearably powerful forces. No, the problem is providing a theoretical basis for physical trading in an eternally practical universe. My best summary at the moment shows the ARB being closed by $10, meaning if we buy oil in Rotterdam at $590 per metric tonne, ship it to Singapore, we will spend $30 per tonne for the privilege, but the price in Singapore is only $6.10. So we've expertly burnt $10 of God's money, which we won't be happy about, multiplied by a few 100,000 tonnes. Nah, Entry inside the pearly gates to welcoming arms, handing out heavily zero-laden bonus checks with that approach is mighty ambitious. I reply to Joel's email that the numbers simply don't stack up for moving an arbitrage cargo right now. He replies back instantly saying, "Other companies are shipping in oil from Europe, I'm certain. Something must be wrong with your numbers. But fuck it. It's Saturday. Rest up. We'll fix it Monday." Thank God for that. I rinse my Weet-Bix bowl in the sink and call a cab. I'm thirsty. "Singapore Cricket Club, mate?" "No problem, sir." The cab takes off as a message from Mark lights up on my phone. One of his mates, Joe, who works in Jakarta, is in Singapore for the week. He just arrived this morning. We should catch up. He's apparently as retarded as I am. Perfect. I text the number Mark has given me, welcome this Joe fella to Singapore and let him know my movements. The taxi arrives at the grounds. Temporary Aussie rules posts are planted at each end of the oval. A bunch of uniform-clad grown men prance around the perimeter in the stifling heat with their matching colour ensembles. Warming up, I suppose. It seems unnecessary. There's a small stadium constructed on the sideline with a sun-shielding roof and a booze vendor standing in front of an alcohol beverage-filled dinghy stranded a long way from the sea and drowning in ice. Game on. I buy an oversized can of Heineken from the dinghy and take a seat. Joe clearly has very little on his schedule. He joins me within the first 15 minutes of my arrival and earns some strong brownie points by insisting on buying the beers. He trades palm oil for an Indonesian company and can expense the whole affair as a business meeting. I stupidly make it clear to him that Scion doesn't trade agricultural products. He couldn't give a fuck. What a legend. Thanks, Mark, for the hookup. The Shanghai Tigers take the field and proceed to get absolutely punished by the Singapore team that appears filled with actual ex-professional players. This is an absolute shellacking. Sean manages to kick through a behind for Shanghai as the final whistle blows. 137-1. An incredible score considering the game was merely 2 10-minute halves. Sean spots me in the crowd and heads over. "Oh mate, tough opponents there." "Yeah, the Singapore team is always strong. They'll win the cup for sure." "So you're done then?" "Not yet. It's a round robin. We're still due to play Hong Kong and Vietnam." "Huh, 2 great Aussie rules heavyweights there." Yeah, I gotta get back out there. I'll see you later on." "Smash it up, mate." Sean takes off. I'm wasted already. These beers in the heat carry extra clout. Mark was right. Joe's hilarious. And if he did live in Singapore, I'd almost consider myself to have found a friend. Like so many people in this part of the world, he is yet another strange hybrid of ethnicities and cultures. He's just over 6 feet tall, has the unblemished almond skin tone synonymous with mixed race breeding, and that unique international accent which is only spoken by those who are taught English in the international schools of non-English speaking countries. He's originally from America, but attended school in Jakarta, where he met Mark. His father, a Texan with oil exploration skills, is currently working somewhere in Africa after being based in Jakarta for many years. His mum, an ex-swimsuit model from Argentina, still lives in the family mansion in Jakarta, accompanied by a personal workforce of maids, beauticians, chefs and drivers. I'm not sure why Joe confides so much info on me. I barely know him. But the thought of his ex-model Latino trophy mum waking each morning at 10 a.m. for a mani-pedi Brazilian, followed by a bottle of Grey Goose and a packet of OxyContin, has me very much aroused. The beers keep flowing as the afternoon stretches on. The dinghy is rapidly losing its booze-filled lustre and the Shanghai Tigers are proving to be equally as pathetic as their Balmain cross-code counterparts. Sean, Tom and the precocious Ben are huddled together, singing the Shanghai team war cry. I can't quite hear it or remember it from my one brief playing near-death experience. But Beck's loser would be fitting. I mean, losing to Vietnam, that really is pathetic. Joe and I are sweating bullets and completely flogged. Sean trots over to let us know the finals will be tomorrow. The Shanghai squad will clearly not be participating in those, but all the teams who have bowed out today will be tonight meeting at Harry's Bar, the world-famous watering hole where Nick Leeson used to top his alcohol levels when he wasn't front-running the collapse of Barings Bank. Nick was the centuries-old bank's arbitrage trading expert too, I should add. Arbitrage. Is there anything it can't do? Aside from make a risk-free profit, of course. I tell Joe we should just head straight to Harry's now. It's almost dark. We walk to the road and hail a cab. I can see Harry's Bar in the distance on the opposite side of Boat Quay. It's barely 500 metres away, but there's no way I'm walking that far. Streams of perspiration are already sliding down my back straight through my ass cracks following the briefest of strolls to the taxi rank. The cab pulls in at Boat Quay. Harry's is empty. Joe buys me yet another beer and we order bangers and mash while the Sydney Swans kick off against the Melbourne Demons on the big screen. I can understand my Shanghai buddies are keen to look their best for a night in the town, but it's been almost 2 hours that Joe and I have been sitting here downing pints and watching ever more blasted Aussie rules. As I pick up the phone to call Sean, he calls me. "Mate, where are you? I said Harry's Bar, yeah?" "Yeah, mate, I'm at Harry's Bar, Boat Quay. Where are you at?" "Harry's Bar at Orchard Towers, mate. It's number 1 Claymore Drive. Jump a cab here, Flynn. It's going to get loose. Cool, mate. I'll see you soon. I let Joe know we're at the wrong bar and we take off. It's nearing 8 p.m. I wave down a cab, which pulls over on Circular Road behind Harry's. I can see a group of flippers loosening their jaws, getting ready for an evening of smoke shows at the far end of the street. How's Strop, I wonder? 1 Claymore Drive, please. Harry's, Orchard Towers. Yeah, cheers. Joe's face lights up. Orchard Towers? Sensational. The boys back in Jakarta told me how to check this place out. Oh yeah, why is that? Orchard Towers, mate. 4 floors. 4 floors is at the height, isn't it? No, mate, that's bricks. Okay, so what's 4 floors? Well, you fucking retard. It's 4 floors of whores. Bricks is only 1 floor of whores. Yeah, that would seem to make a lot of sense. The cab passes through my old suburb of Somerset and continues on past the height before completing a huge circle through a series of back streets and finally dropping us in a side alley beneath an overhead walkway connecting 2 buildings. Huge signs for Harry's at Orchard make it fairly obvious this must be the place. I recognise a lot of my Shanghai mates on the ground floor balcony area. Joe pays the driver and we hop out. We grab beers and are soon involved in sculling contests with any number of new mates. When it comes to forming friendships, the expatriate life in a new city is about the closest experience available to reliving your childhood. Remember those glorious times when parents were allowed to let their kids roam the streets each day after school without risking a visit from the Department of Community Services? That time spent exploring the streets on your skateboard or BMX would open up your world and inevitably result in new friendships, working out how to outsmart bullies, maybe blow up the odd letterbox. These new friends weren't in possession of anything more than merely being of a somewhat similar age and equally keen to not go home till the sun went down. If you had any more than that in common, you quickly became best mates. The only differences in the expat grown-up version of that story are that the age brackets considered similar are greatly expanded, and rather than returning home when the sun goes down, it's more customary to want to hide indoors once the sun comes up. Harry's Bar is full to the brim with Aussie rules enthusiasts from all the major Asian cities. Tom, as always, is leading the masses in the "he's a piss spot through and through" tried and tested drinking theme song, while Sean mixes gulps of grog with swipes of dating apps on his phone. He shows me one of the girls who was text messaging him. Dear oh dear, I pray he never meets the girl in the photo. It is surely a police-instigated sting operation to entrap pedophiles. Anytime a dating site has women in light pink pyjamas with crayons and colouring-in books, it would seem wise to proceed with caution. Across the street, a series of buses pull up. Hundreds of girls, maybe thousands, making absolutely zero effort to conceal their overt horridness, proceed in an orderly line along the footpath and up the stairs into the building opposite. Orchard Towers, 4 floors of whores. The girls can barely walk. Their pink high heels and undersized pleather skirts probably aren't designed with graceful cadence at the fore. They maintain their place in the line with military precision. A unified noble army of poorly paid cocksuckers. They're each adorned with the same drag queen sense of makeup application and a clear environmental disregard when using hairspray. These stick figures in wonder bras and every possible variety of leopard print all look the same coat of troll doll as they face away from Harry's to continue up the stairs opposite, clutching their handbags to the hip as their 1960s air hostess bouffants barely pass below the sliding entrance door. It's 10 p.m. The arrival of the whore bus convoy seems to be the unofficial closing time for Harry's. Every man is now draining the last of their drink and crossing the road, headed straight into the towers. Any bank with an immoral grain of entrepreneurial salt has an ATM parked here. The line for the ATMs is 50 metres deep. I'm waiting with Joe in line, taking in the spectacle of towers mayhem. There are girls everywhere. They appear mainly of Thai or flipper descent, spouting the usual, "Love you long time," or "You're very handsome, honey bunny." The typical Southeast Asian mating calls of call girls. You've seen one, you've seen them all. None of the girls float my boat. I'm not particularly attracted to girls who look fresh from Rocky Horror Picture Show auditions. I'm more intrigued by the blokes here, the no-nonsense sexual predators who make a crust as a postman or a customs officer. The milky white, soft flap of their lazy cheeks and drooping double chins turn a rose shade of crimson as they walk away from the ATM and ready themselves for a night of particularly vile pleasure. The place is fucked. I'm scoping all angles for a viable smoke bomb opportunity. Ben, our 17-year-old expert on Eastern European whores, rounds up the troops and we head up some non-functioning escalators to the very top floor. The bar to the right has top 5 written over the entrance. Ben continues in. There's a $10 cover charge, which includes a drink. Our group consists of close to 50 lads, all pissed out of their minds and brimming with ATM withdrawals. Once the stout entrance lady takes my cash, gives me a drink voucher and stamps my wrist with top 5 insignia, I walk through a mirrored hallway into a huge arena. There's a long bar to the left leading to an elevated stage where 3 Thai girls, a drummer, guitarist and singer, are belting out the Red Hot Chili Peppers classic Other Side. Every time she squeals, "Take it on the other side," she spins around and points at her ass. The boys are hooked in at the end of the bar, a cavalcade of girls heading their way from the far side of the room. The Thai girls follow up Other Side with Britney Spears'.
Baby, one more time.
To the right are 4 oversized rows of tiered seating, a sort of stadium. The room is huge, empty aside from the Aussie Rules superstars and about 15 ladies competing for their attention. I notice a girl pole dancing on the bar, 2 of them. I rescan the room. There are stripper poles stationed all throughout the venue with heroin addict Ukrainian-looking girls slow dancing completely out of sync to the Thai girl band's Britney tribute. Aside from the stage entertainment and the bar staff, all the girls here have a Russian look to them. Ben is chatting away with 3 of them at the bar, his study buddies I presume. Sean is on stage doing single-arm push-ups with his shirt off. The rest of the lads cheer him on while pole dancers on elevated platforms all throughout the stadium continue to clumsily squat and bend with their eyes closed. The Singaporean guys behind the bar look disinterested as they polish glasses. Joe and I grab our courtesy drink and sit at a table right by the bar. The unmistakable intro to Men at Work's Down Under fires up. The boys storm the stage and the poles, drowning out the band with their screaming and relieving the Ukrainians of their woeful pole dancing attempts. Tom starts frisking up the lead singer, getting all touchy-feely as he joins her at the microphone. "Travelling in, afraid that combi." Another bloke takes over the drums, security guards rushing in as the room erupts. "He just smiled and give me a Vegemite sandwich." There are fights breaking out all over the floor. Girls are bashing everyone with their leopard print handbags. The Singaporean security are no match for the Aussie pissheads. Tom holds off 4 of the little cretins as he commands the mic to the very end. "You better run, you better take cover." I'm in hysterics, still sitting in my chair, copping the odd handbag belching to the head but not spilling my beer. The boys back at the round bar in Manly would be so proud. The Australians are told to leave and never come back. Bothered? No. Ben leads the way back downstairs level to Club Romeo. 2 Singaporean doormen welcome us warmly. "Have a great night, guys." The entrance is a velvet curtain that requires reasonably heavy lifting to fling to the side and get into Romeo's club. A rectangular room of severely dim red lighting is lit up in the centre by a slightly raised stage. There are 2 poles at each end of the runway and a peculiar collection of Thai and Russian girls eye us off as they dance with all the rhythm of a Down syndrome choreographed Special Olympics performance. We proceed to the bar in the far end of the room. A Thai girl on stage whose head almost touches the roof, her Adam's apple surely visible from a satellite, alerts me to the trans nature of the sexual apparatus lurking beneath her skimpy black dress. There is a couched area to the side of the bar. Ben commandeers this space and orders 5 bottles of champagne. I take a seat but make sure I can still clearly see the runway. Sean is dangling upside down from one of the poles, the security contingent loving it, as too are the onstage girls and ladyboy. Ben's purchase of the champagne seems to imply the girls now talk to you, much the same as the smoke bars of Circular Road. You pay top dollar for a grog and it's inclusive of female attention. I'm fine with this. Nadia, my allotted female, is first and foremost a woman. I'm fairly certain. Secondly, she's smoking hot, oozing an intoxicating Russian assassin chic sense of enthrallment. I'm confident she would have no hesitation in slitting my throat, but even more confident I desperately want to fuck the shit out of her. Joe appears equally captivated by his champagne swilling partner. She's of Asian descent. Joe's another yellow fever victim. Her hands are travelling perilously close to my new pal's crotch. He necks the glass of bubbles and goes the lean in, grabbing her by the back of the neck and gorging on her lips. The 2 of them get busy pashing on as the girl's right hand takes an exploratory journey under Joe's belt, jacking him off with breakneck speed. Fucking hell. Some bloke appears out of nowhere with a towel, handing it to Joe to tidy up his little muck explosion. Stock standard, hey? What service? The girl pours them another glass of bubbles each and Joe leans back, relaxing fully into the leather couch. I drain my own glass and quickly pour another. I'm not too sure how comfortable I feel about just seeing Joe being tossed off under the thin veil of his blue jeans, but I'm trying to guide Nadia's hands in a similar direction. She doesn't want a bar of it. She tells me I'm a very nice man and that she would like to go on a date. Huh? Yeah, she'd like to get a coffee, maybe watch a movie. We exchange phone numbers and continue sipping away on bubbly in the corner. Does she even know this place is called 4 Floors of Whores? Maybe it doesn't translate well into Russian. I ask her where the toilets are and excuse myself through a back door to a bathroom down a back hallway. Joe's handjob deliverer walks in, stands next to me at the urinals, hoiks up her skirt and takes a piss from her impressively sizey wang. I vomit into the trough while this ladyboy laughs at me, spinning her cock in big circles. I don't care if it's a man or a woman, that's one fucking big dick. I vomit a second time and watch on as this thing dolls itself up in the mirror, pushing its dick deep between its legs and applying mascara and lipstick before walking back into Club Romeo. I escape to the street, calling Joe once I'm outside. I tell him I have to go home. I've just become violently ill, and to make sure not to take any girls home from Club Romeo, the guy just told me the girls from there will definitely rob you, especially the Asian ones. He seems cool with this, I can only hope. If not, I'll gladly drive him to the Mental Institute tomorrow, or to Marina Bay Sands for an appropriate farewell. I see a cab down the street and get moving. A few hundred girls, maybe they're ladyboys, beg me to take them home. No way. I need an ice bath and a motherly cuddle. Club Street, mate. Sure. No Shanghai cab crushes join me. I text Nadia, say I'd love to go on a date sometime. The taxi pulls up at my place. I head in, vomit a couple more times and lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Images of concentric ladyboy dick circles now plastered to my mind's eye.